sharing my slides. Welcome, everyone. Feel free to say hello to us in the chat, as always. Let us know where you are joining from today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's town hall. So as always, I'm going to just kick off with a couple of housekeeping notes. So we are live streaming and we are recording this session. So if you get disconnected at any point, feel free to head over to our YouTube page. We're going to have a few company and product updates for you today. And then we're going to kick off with Q&A as well after that. If you do have any questions throughout the session, you can use the Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen. It's a lot easier to use that Q&A functionality than to type your questions in the chat. It just helps us keep track of the questions we have and haven't answered. And also towards the end of the session, we will give you a chance to raise your hand to ask a question as well. The raise hand button is in the emoji section at the bottom of your screen as well. So with that, I'm going to get kick-started today with an update from our team in Australia, actually. So a couple of our team members, Kelly, Ethan, and Vera, have been at the Here to Stay conference in Brisbane this past week. They had a fantastic time there, meeting plenty of hosts, current customers and potential customers of Hospitable. And Ethan was actually on stage in front of what looks like hundreds and thousands of people. To present a couple of sessions around customer experience and also managing multiple channels, multiple booking channels, that is. So a fantastic session there. Hopefully they managed to see some of you there. I know that folks in Asia Pacific are maybe just watching this on recording, but drop us a comment on YouTube if we manage to see you in person. Always fantastic to hear from people there as well. And with that, I'm going to now hand over to Pierre to give some team updates.
Hello everyone, I'm joining you this time with a bit of a broken voice, a dry cough, and at least the ambition that we're going to have more time on the Q&A for today. So without further ado, let's introduce Marcus, who is joining a customer success team, who is basically just 1 month old. And yeah, Marcus is joining us from Georgia. Marcus, can you introduce yourself? Now is the time when you turn your camera on. And yeah, you've been 2 days at the company. Yeah, tell the 200 of our closest customers who you are.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. My name is Marcus. As you can see, I'm calling in from Savannah, Georgia. I am going to be joining as a customer success manager. Like Pierre shared, this is day 2 for me. So I'm super excited to come on board. I'll be working with you all as existing customers, helping make sure that you're aware of all the new features that we're rolling out. And I'm just super excited to be here. Fun fact about me, I have 2 cats. Their names are Apples and Cinnamon. Sadly, I can't take credit for the names. They were the names from the shelter, but we kept them because they're so good.
And you're also just a fresh dad as well. So plenty of opportunities for excellent cute pictures on our company Slack. So we may see Marcus sending you some messages in the following weeks to basically inform you about some new features that can help you generate more revenue in a safer way. We're talking about many of those on our channels, but we would like to basically get an opportunity to talk to you about those as they apply to a specific account. And Marcus is joining Brian, that probably some of you have already very familiar with. Quickly onto the next slide, we still have positions open, account executive, especially for serving American time zone. We're still recruiting on the product side, whether that's engineering, product manager for connectivity, and an excellent, very senior leader product designer to have a gigantic impact on the entire company. Now, we're going to talk a lot more today about connectivity. We're going to talk also about upsells because Nick, the only one person working on AI in the company, has something cooking for us. But yeah, without further ado, we can jump onto connectivity items. See you soon.
Cool. All right, we have 3 channels to talk about. The old reliable Agoda. We're actually going to move forward with this now. So everyone that's signed up so far, and if you're really fast, you can get your name still on there. We're going to be sending out an email either late tonight or tomorrow morning with a link to schedule onboarding calls starting from Monday. And yeah, it's going to ramp up a little slowly. We still need to, this is private pilot. We're going to work people through and make sure that's all tip top, and then, continue pushing that through our normal process of moving it to beta and then live. But this is primarily for people with existing listings on Agoda. Later, we'll be getting into a deeper feature set of helping you create properties directly from Hospitable, and saving you hopefully lots of time in the process for that. But yes, the good news is we are starting from Monday. Moving on, booking.com. So last week we shared with you guys what we were working on as far as the pretty new functionality for booking, request to book. We mentioned that this looks more like Airbnb's inquiry than it does Airbnb's request to book. So this is now live for all hosts. You do need to enable this from the extranet. So if you're on Booking, you can go into the extranet, go to properties and policies and enable this, and you'll be able to then take action in the inbox. And taking action means you're going to accept or reject a reservation request from a guest. You have 24 hours to do that. The guest then has their own 24-hour timer that starts after that to confirm. No messaging just yet. We're currently working with Booking to get into the pilot, so we can have messaging. It does feel a little bit funny to have an inquiry when you can't actually inquire. But yeah, we should have two-way messaging working as soon as we get enabled for that pilot functionality. And then the deeper, more Airbnb style request to book, they've told us is coming in late 2025 to early 2026, where you won't have this kind of wonky two sets of 24-hour timers running. Okay, next, yeah, the main functionality on booking.com we're working on next then is listings management. This is kind of a first for Hospitable. We do some listing management, but not a lot. We're going to try and make it so we can automate listing creation for you on multiple channels. So we're going to be working on Agoda and Booking at the same time. The idea is to get it to zero setup, be able to really help you guys save time scaling out the distribution for your properties. One thing that it allows us to be more active in as well is optimizing your performance on the channels. That comes down to rate plans a lot of times. So for Booking, they've definitely confirmed with us, as we shared last time, more rate plans actually is the revenue maximizing strategy. Airbnb also has this capability for refundable and non-refundable price points. So we're going to be looking at how we can help you do that. And yes, if everything works well, we will profit at the end altogether. We do have some content coming up. If you're interested in booking.com and want to ask more, we've got a couple representatives from their team. So we've got one of their account managers and then someone from their market expert will be joining us on November 12th. I'll be on that session as well. And we'll be going through, in more detail what we just talked about, and also taking plenty of time for your questions, anything you're curious about on booking.com. Go ahead and sign the QR code. We'll try and put that up again before we go to Q&A, so you've got another chance. But please sign up and see us on November 12th. Finally, Airbnb, the big one. So we are in the process of the migration now. We're a little over halfway there, and we don't expect all of our accounts to get migrated. But so far, everyone should have been contacted. So please look out for an email from us. The subject line should start out with important update. We've sent out segmented communication. A lot of you guys are in different buckets depending on how your Airbnb account is configured, where you're located, whether you have co-hosts, etc. So we've sent you personalized instructions about what you're going to do. And like we say, it's about 15,000 accounts migrated so far. We don't expect everyone to migrate, so we're well over halfway there. And some of you, we'll cover just in a few slides here, do have a decision to make. So we'll spend a little bit of time just going through that. It is an important decision, and we are exactly 2 weeks out now for when things start to change. So what's happening? We are standardizing our integration to what's called the property management scope with Airbnb. This is what every other property management software uses. For years, we have had an exception to this rule. We've been able to be an additional source of truth. Airbnb politely asked us that we stop doing that, and they've asked us to standardize. So by that deadline, we need to get everyone migrated to the PM scope if you need Hospitable to manage your pricing and availability. That means to sync your calendars, to protect you from double bookings, to take your direct bookings and make sure you don't get a double booking on those and other channels. We need to have that capability if you're using us for pricing and availability. So that's what's changing. We had some questions about whether or not this impacts your Airbnb ranking. We did look into it. We spoke with Airbnb about it. The answer is no. Well over a third of the listings on Airbnb are managed by property management software. So there's not really any, I guess, ability for Airbnb to kind of game the system against people that are software connected. That should not be the case. What we did clarify with Airbnb, the things that do impact your ranking, your property content and policies, as in your cancellation policies, having a strict non-refundable cancellation policy obviously impacts your search ranking. Your review performance, your acceptance of booking requests, those kind of things affect it, and price and promotions. And I think this is where some people are seeing an impact. Things do change with your price when you do this migration or when you upgrade on your own time. You might have been using smart pricing on Airbnb. That is not a capability you have when you're software connected. So that's getting disabled. Some of you may not have looked at your base price in a long time, and it might be out of touch with your market. So make sure when this happens, we will send you an email when you are migrated, lets you know which accounts were migrated. If you have multiple accounts, we'll let you know if your service fee configuration changed as a consequence of that. That's for hosts outside of North America. You might be moved to a host-only fee. We'll update your markup rates for you, and we'll communicate that to you in email. But it's a good time when you get that email to please go into Airbnb, have a look at your listings, and make sure that you stay competitive. And we've also heard all sides of it. We've heard people that have seen no impact. We've heard people that got 3 bookings right away as soon as the migration happened. We don't think any of those are related. And to be fair, it is really hard to know the page rank of your property because search is so complicated. This is not the Airbnb of a decade ago when you could really gamify search results. Hospitable used to have a product that would help you do that by constantly kind of updating the freshness of some of your content. That's not what's happening today. It's you cannot look for your own listings. When you have friends looking for listings, they're looking under unknown parameters. It's really hard to know how your page ranking. So the message from Airbnb is this is not related. Moving on. Yeah, and just to cover the benefits that I think we're aware of now. Already we're able to consolidate availability rules, so we're helping you save time there. Those now get shipped to all of your channels. We were able to re-enable the ability to manage alterations directly in the Hospitable inbox as a consequence of this upgrade. And we're getting better support, both you and us as developers. We are now a standard integration with Airbnb. We have an account manager and we get faster resolution times. So those are all great. And then it really unlocks a whole roadmap of enhanced capabilities now that we're on this standard PM scope integration with Airbnb. So the people that are not going to be migrated as a part of this, you've received an email from us and you have a decision to make. So if you're already connected to other property management software, some of you use, in addition to Hospitable, another software provider, you will not be able to upgrade unless you decide to disconnect from your other PMS. That means that Hospitable will not be able to manage your availability and pricing. That might be okay with you. Other features continue to work on Hospitable, but your calendar will be disabled. If you are only connected to Airbnb, you are able to upgrade. We're just not going to upgrade you on your behalf. We're going to let you make that decision. If you're only using Airbnb, you're not using our calendar, you're not impacted by not upgrading, so we're not going to force that choice on you. You're able to upgrade at any time. On the deadline, November 13th, 2 weeks from now, your calendar will just start to be read-only. It won't push pricing and availability, but we didn't see you using it anyway, so that shouldn't be an impact. Final bucket of users are people that have co-hosted listings and either one, the owner is not connected. So if the primary listing owner of your listing is not connected to Hospitable's Airbnb app, we're unable to migrate you. So you received instructions to go ahead and invite your owner, do that before November 13th, and we will migrate you then later and make sure everything gets updated. The other ones are if your co-hosted listing account, some of those listings are managed on Hospitable and some are not. Those users we are also not going to migrate because you need time to coordinate with your co-host and owners. There might be impacts there that you need to discuss with them. We don't want to migrate and be disruptive to you in that kind of configuration. So final slide, just the consequences again. If you're not upgraded by November 13th, your Hospitable calendar will become read-only. We will stop syncing price and availability for all connected channels of the listings in that account. So you might have multiple accounts. If you're unable to upgrade a single Airbnb account, those listings will stop to push price and availability to all connected channels, Vrbo, Booking.com, etc. If you're using direct, you would need to start using our property iCal to be able to sync into your channels. Otherwise, other Hospitable features are not impacted. If you're not upgrading, you're basically telling us you want to manage price and availability elsewhere, which is fine, but there is some impact there within Hospitable. And yeah, we'll be available for Q&A after this for anyone that has any other questions about this.
Hello, everyone. It's been a while since we had an AI dedicated slide. That's because my focus has been on upsells for the past month or so. And it's a grand total of one person fully working on AI that you may not have been aware of. But in any case, I wanted to touch base a little bit, share some recent improvements and what's in the pipeline coming soon. So very small things to share right now. In the Knowledge Hub, whenever you upload content like a guidebook PDF, we were generating some questions that the guidebook should be able to answer, but now you have the ability to ask your own question. Just type something in, ask, and the AI will generate an answer based on what's available in the Knowledge Hub for that property, as well as other context around that it can gather from your account. Also, Suggest with AI, small improvement. If you have a preferred host name on Airbnb, that will now be used when Suggest with AI generates a message for you. Small, but more coming. And on that note, some things to look forward to. For the Knowledge Hub, finally, after a lot of delays that we, quite frankly, didn't have much control over, the TouchStay private pilot is starting for the Knowledge Hub, meaning you will be able to use your connected TouchStay account to import the guidebook content seamlessly, automatically, with basically zero effort on your side. It will be in the Knowledge Hub to be used by the AI. Simple as that. We worked pretty hard to make this a very easy integration. Also in the Knowledge Hub, we've heard from several of you who are managing a decent portfolio of companies, of properties, that it is quite cumbersome to obviously upload PDFs for every single one of them in the Knowledge Hub. So we will be working, of course, on ways of making that simpler to share knowledge across multiple properties in the Knowledge Hub. That is coming. Suggest with AI improvements. Upcoming is canned responses and contact. We've heard this from a few of you. You already have quite a bit of kind of knowledge already baked into canned responses that you've written. It makes total sense for the AI to be able to use these. So that is coming as well. And in general, we're going to have a overall quality improvement pass over the Suggest with AI generated messages. Now, what's going to allow this to happen? Well, the AI team is doubling in size, finally, to a grand total of 2. It's only been me behind the scenes, basically, for the past 6 months, doing everything AI related and now upsells. But finally, after kind of a lengthier notice period, one more team member is joining me starting next week. So there's going to be a bit of a usual Hospitable onboarding period for a couple of weeks, and then fully operational to start helping on the AI front. So you should be seeing much more frequent updates on AI moving forward as well. Next, upsells. Quick progress report. It took a couple of weeks longer than necessary. There was a bit of sick leave and a bit of complexity around payments, but finally, private pilot is starting. That is on direct premium as announced previously. What goes into this? Suggest with AI will be able to generate upsell suggestions. You'll be able to automatically adjust check-in and check-out timings if you're selling early check-in or late checkout. It just works in our system. The upsells will be purchasable by guests in our guest portal using our payment infrastructure, all that you're already used to in Direct. And this is all native and Hospitable without you needing to use any other software. Initial constraints that a few people raised that we're starting with: if a guest purchases early check-in, the day before check-in is blocked. If the guest purchases late checkout, the day of checkout is blocked. So no other reservations are possible on those days. We're doing this initially. This is not a hard constraint moving forward. We're going to be flexible on that, just to ensure we have a very tight scope and there's no kind of unexpected calendar shenanigans. This will be configurable as we figure out kind of what's the best way of making things flexible and understanding more about your property setups. And the other constraint is upsells for guests will be unlocked a week before check-in. Again, to begin with, for now. This is to ensure that you're not losing revenue from bookings because we're going to be doing the day blocking on both sides of the reservation, depending on the upsell. So this is just kind of to make sure that you capture the extra revenue, but you're not losing more revenue because of these day blocks. Small constraints just to kind of set the tone. These will become flexible and configurable moving forward. So private pilot is starting. And just a sneak preview of, well, not sneak preview, this is live actually now. For those of you using Direct, the guest portal got a little bit of a glow up. It was very basic so far because there wasn't really much you can do apart from clicking just a couple of buttons. But now that we're going to be driving more eyes and credit cards into the guest portal, we wanted it to look kind of a bit more professional so that somebody doesn't get turned off just by looking at it when we're trying to get them to buy something. So this is still early. We're going to be working more on the design front on the guest portal. And that's it.
Cool. Thank you, Nick. Hello, everyone. Just a reminder that we are working on a thermostat integration so that you can connect your thermostats to Hospitable. You will be able to control temperature and settings from your device dashboard. You can set and manage your presets. And then most importantly, we will start syncing those presets to your reservations. We will have a pilot starting early next week for both Ecobee and Honeywell users. If you would like to be involved, please scan the QR code that's on this slide here, or use the link. I'll paste the link into the chat now. It will link you to a very brief form to fill out, and then I'll be in touch. So yeah, it would be great for as many people to join. Yeah, that is all from me. Over to Abby, I believe, for Direct.
Yep. So for Direct, we have a couple of exciting updates. First, Apple Pay and Google Pay are officially enabled for Direct Premium, which is really exciting. This has been a long time coming. And Google Pay was actually enabled this morning. Apple Pay was enabled a little over a week ago now. And for Apple Pay, we've actually seen that about 16% of our total transactions have been made with Apple Pay as a payment method. Which is pretty significant if you consider that in order to pay on Apple Pay, you actually have to be on a Apple Pay compatible device in OS. We're excited about this because these new payment methods should help with conversions for direct bookings. But there's also a fraud protection angle here too, as Apple Pay supports shifting liability for fraudulent transactions from the merchant to the card issuer for most of the major card brands. So now that this is available for Direct Premium, we will be working on rolling out Apple Pay and Google Pay for Direct Basic, and also looking at ways that we can support express checkout with those payment methods to continue helping with conversions. And in the spirit of boosting conversions, we've also been experimenting with retargeting guests who start to book their stay but never complete the booking process. So this is kind of just started as a pretty simple experiment for now, where we have been following the best practices within e-commerce to send a simple email an hour after the guest abandons the booking. But it's been a pretty fun experiment because we are seeing, we have a Slack thread actually where we're seeing updates as those bookings come in. And so some of the data that we've seen just within our first 5 days of doing this, we've seen about $13,000 in bookings recovered. So we sent an email and that's converted the guest to finish their booking. And we've delivered about 400 emails, about 50% of them actually been opened. Only 8% of them have been clicked into and 3% have been converted. So I think there's still quite a bit of room to grow here and increase that portion of conversions by doing some some more experimentation around the call to action, the timing, potentially looking at ways that you could add promo codes to these messages if that's something that you're interested in doing. So more to come here, but we wanted to share some exciting early results from that experiment. And then finally, we have an update on our multiple property search widget. So we've made some significant improvements to the sorting of the search results. So that sorting is now a lot smarter and will actually rank results based on multiple attributes, like property availability and distance of the property from the selected location, as well as the capacity of the property versus the number of guests booking the property. So for example, if a guest is searching for a property for 2 people, but you have a property that, for example, fits 12 people, that larger property would rank lower in the search results, and any properties that are perfectly fit 2 people would be higher in the results. So as we continue working on the widget, we also need to make some performance improvements. It's a bit slow right now for sites that have many, many properties. So that's where we'll be turning our focus. And then once we have those performance improvements in place, we will also be adding the ability to filter for specific amenities as part of the search. And that's it for direct.
Cool. Hey, everybody. All right, I'm going to give some platform updates, and this is a little bit unusual for a town hall because we don't typically get this technical, so I'm going to try to keep it kind of surface level, but some of these things do impact you as host. First, what does the platform team do? What are we responsible for? So we have 3 team members. I spend a small portion of my time on this. We've got 1 engineer and 1 part-time partner support, and it's our job to build and maintain a public API that is great for our vendor partners to use. We really want it to be super easy for other third-party softwares that you use to integrate into Hospitable so that we're the first choice. When it comes time for them to integrate with property management systems, we want them to be like, Hospitable's API is awesome. We're going to start there. We want you guys to have access to this first. So we build and maintain our public API. We also build and maintain our webhooks. These are used by hosts to send real-time notifications to other systems. You might be sending webhooks to Zapier and doing something with it from there, or be doing something a little bit more technical, and also used by our partners to receive real-time updates about your reservation. So for example, if you're integrated with a company that manages your cleaning operations, they might be getting webhooks every time you get a reservation so that they can schedule that clean. And last, we won't dive too deeply, but we also have another product that's built just for our partners. And the intention there is to allow them to serve hosts who are not yet using Hospitable. So we kind of cover these 3 areas. You don't have to be technical to benefit from some of the work that we're doing. And I want to just point out a couple of things here. So our latest APIs have been out for a little bit less than a year now. And in that time, everything you see on the apps page are new partners coming to us and building integrations for you. So there's lots of integrations on that apps page, which you can now benefit from. And I just pulled the numbers right before this town hall. We actually have 50 other partners who are in the process of building integrations for you. So that's a huge number. And the cool thing is, because we put the effort into our public API and made it easy for them to build, we actually don't have to spend any time building those integrations. We just work on the API and our partners do all of the work. So it's a really great way to kind of dedicate a small number of resources that really scales and brings you guys actual benefit. I think we shared in the last town hall that Price Labs recently upgraded their integration from our old API to our new one. And one small but nice thing that you'll notice now is that on the calendar, you can actually see where that price change came from. It says source Price Labs. Before it said source API because the way our API worked, we couldn't tell where it came from. Now we can tell where it comes from. So that means better support when you're having issues with integrations, and yeah, just more transparency all around. And we're currently working on more capabilities in our API so that our partners can build even better integration. So we're working on property webhooks to notify our integration partners when you've added a new property into Hospitable, and you'll be able to use those as well. Exposing reviews. Abby touched on reviews on direct sites. We'll be sharing that as well. And then some additional direct setup capabilities. So one new thing that we've just launched right before this town hall is another version of webhooks. This is available for you as a host. We have had webhooks for a long time, but to be very blunt, the structure of them was very confusing. We shared financials that didn't really make sense all the time, and we had made some decisions in there that we didn't really love, and so we wanted to start fresh. And so we've just released a second version of webhooks for you, available to all hosts. Under apps, webhooks, you can go add a new one. From there, you can send a test webhook to the destination of your choice, and then send all historical webhooks once you get things set up and decide you want to get that up to speed. And we have a couple different triggers every time a reservation is created, and every time different parts of the reservation are changed, a webhook will be sent. So I put a screenshot on the side of the reservation financials. And the reason I did that here is because the structure of the webhooks mirrors what you see in the reservation financials. So not only will you get information about the reservation itself, like the check-in, check-out, guest information, and all that stuff, you'll also get this detailed breakdown of the financials from your perspective as a host. So like what your payout is and what that's made up of, and also from the guest perspective, what they paid and what that was made up of. And so if you're using webhooks and are curious where these numbers are coming from, it should mirror what you see in your inbox. And that leads me to an update, an announcement. We will be deprecating the old version of both our API and our webhooks on February 3rd. So what that means is that if you are using an old version of our API, or if you are using an old version of our webhooks, you will need to switch to the new version sometime between now and February 3rd. We have been communicating this with our partners for 10 months since we came out with the new version. And so now that we've released webhooks for you, it's time to share that with you as well. So there are guides in our developer documentation, help articles galore about how to go about that migration if you need to do that. So definitely reach out if you need some help, because it does get a little bit technical. But if you don't use either of these things, it's not relevant. Cool. Okay, now so it's totally switching gears to some Mogul updates. So owner statements has received, I was going to say a facelift, but that's not the right word because it's mostly behind the scenes. We have basically ripped out the foundation we originally started with owner statements and built a stronger, more flexible foundation. We heard your feedback that it was inflexible and difficult to understand, and that meant we needed to kind of go back to the drawing board and change how we did things. So we've done that. And if you're already using owner statements and you check it out again, things will look a little bit different and should work as expected now. We've also separated the whole concept of commission from the concept of guest fees. We used to lump those in together to create your earnings, but we heard that it was important to keep those concepts separate so that it didn't look like you were charging a lot of commission, when in reality, some of that was like a cleaning fee that needed to be passed through. We've also greatly simplified the statement and the invoice and have been very clear about pass-through tax responsibility depending on your individual agreements with the owners. We have a lot more coming soon. This QR code, if you scan it, it's going to bring you to this really cool thing that's going to allow you to explore owner statements without actually upgrading yet. So you can scan that or go directly to that link, and you can click around and see like what the experience is going to be like, so you can have a better understanding. And if it's something that you think you'd like, you'll be able to reach out to our customer success team and get a trial access to this, or upgrade your account to Mogul so you can get unlimited access. On the next screen, just like a quick sneak peek of the new statement structure. If you had used this before, we had a lot of feedback that it was difficult to kind of calculate things, like cross-check things yourself when looking at the statement. And so we took a lot of care to make sure that this was very, very clear. You can kind of cross-check things from left to right, and there should be no confusion between you and your owners with what you owe them or what they owe you. Next, the team that works on the Mogul plan is working on accounting integrations. The engineering for this is already underway. We're going to be starting with QuickBooks because most of you use QuickBooks. We know that you use other things too, and so that will definitely come soon. But the exciting thing about this, we are working with accountants and we're working with hosts who are very savvy with accounting to make sure that the integration is deep and that it's going to be accountant friendly. Our plan is to be able to set you up in an industry standard way, trust accounting best practices, all the things, so that you can trust that like your accountant is going to be happy at the end of the day, things are going to be set up appropriately so that you can scale your business without having to worry about this part. So we're going to be creating and mapping accounts for you, creating and mapping classes for you to your properties, and following all best practices there. So again, we're working with accountants and hosts to make sure that this is set up in the best possible way for you. And we would love some more help. So if you are using QuickBooks today or any accounting software really, and have some opinions about how this is done, we would love to chat with you. You can scan that QR code. It's going to bring you to a form where you're just going to give us a little bit of information and let us know if you want to pilot this when this is available or not. But either way, the data that you share there is going to help inform our decisions. And I might also be reaching out individually to some of you to have calls to help us out. So we're excited about this one. Thank you guys to anybody who signs up for that. Miles, is there anything we missed on the next slide?
Well, hopefully not. So if we did miss anything, we have a couple of links here. So if you want to dig a little deeper, either now or at any point into some of our recent feature updates, you can go and check out our changelog at changelog.hospitable.com. It's a great place to go and check out what we've been working on. And also, if there's anything we've missed, you can provide us feedback as well. So if there's any features that you want to see us working on, you can head to feedback.hospitable.com. We've also obviously got links there if you need additional support with your account. If you're interested in learning more about investing in Hospitable, you can head there. And then also, if you'd like to join our community on Facebook, we have a link for you there as well. I'm going to leave that up for just a second in case anyone wants to copy down any of those links so they can head to those after the session. But otherwise, now we're going to head into the audience Q&A. So if you haven't already, you can go to the React button at the bottom of your screen, or the emoji button, should I say, and basically click the raise hand button in there if you'd like to come on stage to ask a question. We already have a couple of people with their hands raised, so I'm going to get kick-started with Caesar. Hello and welcome on stage. Hello, Caesar.
Hey, Caesar, how can we help?
Okay, looks like it might be an
twice,
accidental hand raise.
thrice. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, Caesar, if there's anything, you can show up later.
Cool. Moving on, Austin, let's try you instead. Hello, Austin.
Hey,
Hello.
Austin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly well. How can we help?
Perfect. So we co-host. We have a couple short-term rentals, and we co-host for somebody down the street from one of our short-term rentals that lives out of town. They like to have a lot of control of their renter of their house, and we're kind of the cleaning service, and we stock their supplies and do maintenance when needed type thing. But they want control of their pricing, their like blocking of nights, their description, pictures, and they're concerned to connect their account to Hospitable because it sounds like they're going to lose those features. And I'm worried they're gonna, reservations aren't going to get to our cleaning team through Turno, like automatic messages that we send and lock codes, all that stuff's not going to be synced. So just wanted to get advice from you guys to see how we can kind of get the best of both worlds and get them the control they want and not lose any of the features that we currently enjoy.
Okay, sure. Let's unpack that, Austin. So are they using any other channels than Airbnb?
Just Airbnb.
Just Airbnb. Okay. Yeah, I mean it doesn't sound like you need Hospitable to coordinate your availability. We're still able to get reservation data on the non-upgraded connection, so your integration should still be working. Like for Turno, you're still going to get webhooks when there's a reservation. We're just not able to create reservations or to create blocks of availability, which it doesn't sound like would impact your client here.
Yeah,
Does that
so
sound right?
currently it seems to be working okay without them connecting. So are you kind of suggesting that they don't connect, or that they do connect with Hospitable because they don't use a pricing software?
Yeah, it sounds like they don't have to connect, but you wouldn't be feeling the consequences yet. So not until November 13th or thereafter will the actual consequences of us not being able to write reservations to your calendar be live. So you wouldn't have noticed an impact yet. If you do decide that you need to upgrade, what's going to happen on Airbnb is the calendar would be disabled for them there. It's going to show them that you're using software to manage that. Same with the availability rules. You could create a secondary user for them in Hospitable, but it sounds like that's, going to be a little bit of, I guess, change management with your client. I might frustrate them.
So, sorry, Andrew. I think you're talking about the upgrade to PMS, but I don't think that's basically the concern for Austin's clients, for the owners, because they're not connected at all to Hospitable. And so the case needs to be made of having them connect their Airbnb account to Hospitable, whatever the connection is like. And so I just want to be clear, obviously, Hospitable, especially so in North America, where I guess you're based, especially even on a PMS connection, is not going to interfere with settings. It's not going to interfere with pricing, etc. Especially if you have a more professional-like setup. Even if you don't want to take that chance, we still will have the operations, what we call the operations management scope, which is basically the scope that we have today for hosts, for example, that are not connected on Airbnb, that are not connected on more channels than Airbnb, etc. And for those, there is no change to the integration scope. You will still be able to adjust your rates on Airbnb. You will still be able to block dates on Airbnb. What I want to challenge probably your clients about is that for people that want to retain a lot of control, they put all of their eggs in one basket. And they need to, however control they may want to exercise on their properties and the rentals, probably expand to a few more channels than just the one that they're listed on today. And in doing so, they may be able to secure more revenue, and maybe simply based on having more eyes on their listings, may have a chance of attracting the profile of guests that they probably want to have stay at their property. If that's the case, then the case is you would need to have a property management software to manage your availability and making sure you're not taking a risk of double bookings. And in doing so, you will need to upgrade. We need to basically have a PMS integration, so basically the one that we're upgrading our customers to. What is the fear basically for those owners to connect to Hospitable or any software for that purpose?
Well, we're currently connected to Hospitable like as a co-host, and
Okay.
it just gives us the link and the email to connect. So their concern is they're going to lose like the Airbnb's pricing software capabilities.
That's a feature?
Apparently, yeah. So they want full control.
Quite frankly, sorry, I'm probably very biased, but the idea is, Airbnb smart pricing is working really well for Airbnb. It doesn't work for the interest of owners, and it's like making it cheap on basically not spending the money on a dynamic pricing software, while it costs thousands per year anyway, on not optimizing prices in the best way as a state-of-the-art product would probably do. So that's just my own little thing. It may be convenient, it's very well designed, it's great eye candy. It's not about delivering value to hosts.
I agree.
And I think
we use Price Labs, but...
So I think we're setting up an onboarding process. I kind of want to make sure that this is the first thing that happens. Disable smart pricing. Let's make you money rather than doing it. But sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, definitely. We've had that conversation. They're not interested in the smart pricing right now. So we'll continue to have those conversations. But that answers my question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think there is a path for any connection, especially if you basically for every host. There is a path for every host, especially if you basically are not listing outside of Airbnb. There is no business case for us to control your calendar, and that's happening. So no challenge there.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Austin. Welcoming on stage now, William. Hello, William.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello, William.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. I do have a few questions, quick questions. First one, when you have a direct reservation and say they want to extend it, is there a possibility of getting a feature of being able to go in and when you click alter reservation to extend it and be able to price in those extra days, whether it's at the rate that you currently have them at or a different agreed upon rate? Because I tried that recently and it wanted to add the days, but it was for free. It said at $0. I had the option to pick whether it was my choice or the guest choice, but it never gave me the option to change the amount for the extended days. And then with that, in the direct reservation, when it comes to for the payment, is there any way for us to require them to fill out the rental agreement for us who do have rental agreements? I know why my current guest that booked direct didn't fill out my rental agreement, and that was because they had prior filled it out when they were on a booking platform and had booked with us, and then we moved them to direct. So all the information was pretty much the same. So
Let me jump in there, William. So yeah, on the alterations, yeah, I think there is some room for us to improve your control of the pricing and make it look more like when you're creating a custom quote, where we'll calculate for you what your, I guess, your retail price is on your site, and then let you make adjustments to that. We don't let you do that now. What we're going to do is basically calculate the price for you based on your pricing information in Hospitable, and we'll charge that directly to the guest. So that could be improved and made more flexible for you. That's on our list of things to do. On the rental agreements, yeah, we didn't, I think, include an update this week because there was so much. But yeah, those are in process right now. They work with Direct. We're improving them, and we're going to make them the ability to be required in the sense that they would, block your check-in information if they're not signed by the guest. We would be enforcing them for you. We'd be automating some of the reminders to the guest to make sure that we're saving you time by taking care of that for you, and that we get those signed as soon as possible when the booking happens. For Direct Premium, we'd be able to do that before the request is even made. So we'd be able to front load all of that guest verification and rental agreement together in one process. And then we'll make that work in a slightly different way for all of your other OTA channels. We are actively working on that now. I think we're probably still several weeks out. It's quite complicated, but yeah, the team's working on it, and it does work today for Direct.
all righty, thank you.
Thank you.
I had another one, but I can't remember it, but I thank you.
That's all right. Appreciate you, William.
No worries.
Take care.
Thank you, William. Okay, good stuff. We have now Ignat. Hello, welcome on the stage, Ignat.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Miles?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you. How you doing?
Miles, Andrew, it was great to meet you guys in LA a couple of weeks ago. My
Likewise.
question. Thank you. My question. So I have a group of listings that we run as midterm rentals. So 28-day minimum. I guess what I'm realizing now, before the integration, I was because there were midterm rentals, I was not really utilizing the pricing software. I do have Price Labs connected to my Hospitable for the short-term rentals, and they're doing a great job. But with these midterm rentals, I guess what I was doing the Airbnbs because we were still getting quite a bit of business for the midterm rental for these listings from the Airbnb. So I guess what I was doing, I was managing the pricing. I had the smart pricing enabled on Airbnb, and I know that cancels out all the Price Labs pricing. After the integration, there's no more of that button, and I can't figure out where the pricing's coming from. I've lowered all the discounts on Airbnb to 1%, but it seems like it still has some kind of a control over the pricing. The latest reservation I got for 28 days that starts here in November is a much lower pricing than I would have wanted it to have. And I can't figure out how the platform gave that pricing. Maybe this is probably a question for the customer support to look into the details. I don't know.
They'll be able to investigate for you in a lot more detail. I can just give you at a high level how it should be set up. So we did have some customers realize, I think, that they had their dynamic pricing misconfigured, particularly for Price Labs, and they were connected directly into Airbnb. That setup would break. when you upgrade to the PMS connection, right? We would be taking over the single source of truth, exclusively claiming those listings. So price labs would stop working. Some people had that experience. You need to make sure that that's connected to Hospitable. The smart pricing, as long as you're on the PM scope, the upgraded connection, that should not be working on Airbnb. So you don't need a button to disable it. It's just going to be hidden. It's not going to work. We're pretty confident that that's not what's causing your pricing, but support is going to be able to actually look into the logs and be able to see what the source of your pricing was and help you get that worked out, whatever's going on.
Okay, cool. So just submit on this case and let them look into it.
Yep.
Okay, doke. Thank you, Andrew.
You can also, just before you reach out to support, you can also see the source yourself just by clicking on the date in the calendar. And if it's Price Labs, it'll say Price Labs. If it's Airbnb, it'll say Airbnb. And if it's from some other unknown place, it'll say API. You can check that out as well.
Emily, that's right on the Hospitable calendar, right?
Yes. Yep. Pick
Got
any
it.
day,
Okay.
and then under where the price is, it'll say source.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Okay, thanks, guys. We'll submit a ticket.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up we have Emily. Welcome on stage, Emily.
Hello.
Hello,
So I
Emily.
had a few issues over the weekend with the new connection. And I did reach out to support about this, but it was kind of an urgent thing, and it took several support people to be able to figure out what the deal was. But on the advanced notice under properties, if I have that selected for almost all of my listings because we have a huge issue here with locals booking last minute insta booking. So I have my advance notice turned on to 7 days, but I also have toggled on the allow requests with shorter notice so that I can still approve those bookings if they're within the 7-day window. But Hospitable PMS is blocking anything. So I had a couple of direct bookings that I was trying to extend, and it wouldn't let me extend it if it was within that 7-day window. And I couldn't go in and place any manual or direct bookings.
Yeah, so on as far as the direct calendar works, that did come up today. We're talking about how to change that. We should be. That's a bug. We shouldn't be blocking you from doing that. So that's definitely getting looked at the moment.
Okay.
Was there something else in that question that I'm missing?
No, that was pretty much it. I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure I brought enough
Yep.
attention to it to get fixed
Nope,
because
that got
I've
raised today.
got
There's
I've got
eyeballs on
over
it. Yep.
40
Emily,
properties, lots of direct bookings. So
Yeah.
No, Emily, thank you very much for that. That has been flagged, that has been raised. The idea is basically when you can set how many rules, how many advance notice, how many criteria and options. Those are enforceable to your guests. That limits the flow of things that can be instant book or the things that you receive. As you are the user, as you are the owner or the property manager, those rules should not be opposed against you, and you should not have to do anything to basically adjust on your calendar, on your rule sets, etc., to basically perform an action that you want to do on Hospitable. That's basically the thing we're gonna decide that basically as you are altering, extending a reservation for whatever reason, including OTA, that basically will be performed without opposing or without enforcing availability rules on your own calendar. We did talk about something like that, just freshly here, very fresh here. But for example, we still display whenever that overrides. We still want to display whenever there's going to be when we're going to override a date where there is a note on your calendar. And that kind of, for example, is a case where there is maintenance on that given date, and you should basically keep that in mind as you're extending a reservation to that date. So the UI, everything basically is in flight. We just basically thought we need to alter a few things. So it's going to take probably a while before it gets a bit of time before we get the experience finished. But in the meantime, yes, the principle should be rather clear. If you're the user, you want to perform an action on your calendar, we should do that. Within Hospitable.
I do have one other question that I'm thinking of now. Is do you guys know if the new integration is blocking Airbnb? I don't think it's applied to VRBO, but Airbnb bookings within that window, or is it just an issue with direct?
I don't have any reports that it's blocking Airbnb. We're using Airbnb APIs to update that, so I don't think there'd be any issue there. The issue was with direct, as far as I know at this point.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Emily. Okay, we have a lot of hands raised. I'm not promising we're going to get to all of them, but going as quickly as we can. Natasha, welcoming you on stage. Hello.
Hey, Natasha.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. Can we
Quick
help?
question. Quick question. Is there a way to set up a feature in Hospitable where I can force my guests to check in on a specific day before a holiday? In other words, I don't want my guests to check in on Christmas Day. I want them to be in place Christmas Eve. You know, I know Price Labs offers that feature, and unfortunately, Hospitable is not a PMS that they're linked with. So I think they said I have to do it through my PMS.
Yeah, so there is some functionality we lack with Price Labs that we now are able to build out. So part of this upgrade is that, yeah, we will be able to match the full feature set of Price Labs. I don't think this is one of them, but you can definitely do that in Hospitable now, right? So in the calendar, one of the more recent updates we made is the ability to restrict check-in, and probably you would also want to restrict checkout on that day too, because you don't want to find a cleaner on Christmas Day.
Exactly.
But those settings are now available in the calendar, so you can manage on a day or on multiple days the restricted check-in or check-out. And there's probably some improvements there that we'll look at as far as making some kind of intelligent rule sets for you to kind of do that automatically for, say, all holidays within your jurisdiction.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then one thing I just wanted to share quickly with everyone. I had an incident a few weeks ago where I had blocked my calendar through Hospitable. A guest was able to book. I pleaded with them, so sorry, I can't take your reservation. Can you please cancel? He didn't want to. He finally agreed to. When I spoke with Airbnb, they told me the only way he would get his money back is if I took the cancellation under my record. I would be penalized $313 out of my future payout, and my calendar would be blocked for every single day that he wanted to block it, which, you know, I'm like, fine, just give him his money back. When I spoke with a Hospitable tech, it turned out a PMS system I had never even heard of got into Airbnb and kicked Hospitable out. So they became my PMS system. Don't know who they are, how it happened, but just kind of a heads up to other hosts, you know, maybe not be a vigilante, but it does not hurt to go in and check the Airbnb settings to make sure Hospitable is your approved and linked PMS system and it's not somebody else.
That's a good flag. That happens quite sometimes, and that could be a trial what you set up some time ago. That there needs to be your consent at one point to be doing something like that. At least someone impersonating your account. One of the things that happened, for example, with the upgraded connection, there can only be one application of that type connected to your Airbnb account. So we are okay with taking more ownership and more accountability on the scope of our product. But that basically means there is also the guarantee that Airbnb is providing is that whenever you're setting availabilities, there's nothing that's going to be interfering. That's not something we have with the previous scope of the products where we're managing the calendar. We have a lower priority. So basically, with the upgrade to a PMS, we have a better stance to make sure you're not going to be double booked, and we are on the hook for it, which we actually really like. So thank you, Natasha, for flagging this. It does happen once in a while.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, sorry if I cut you off a little early, Natasha, mid-click. Inviting Mark on stage now. Hello, Mark.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to give some feedback on the direct booking process. So I had two guests that booked. One of them was a booking.com reservation, and they wanted to extend one night, but they couldn't do it. It was already too late on booking.com. So I said, hey, just use this direct link, book a night through direct. So they did that. But the verification process, I've noticed that when they book it, it says pending verification. And then the guest has to, or somehow someone has to click a button on your end, or then I override it on my end. And it just takes some time to go back and forth. And then I'm trying to respond to the guest saying, yeah, it should be verified soon. And it might take an hour or 2 hours to do that. So I was wondering if there's a way, because this happened again, actually, with another guest that she booked it. and then it was just pending verification where I overrode it. She sent me a message at Airbnb, and I already saw she was a vetted guest. So I was just wondering if there's a way that we can kind of cut out the red tape where I could just override and be the guest verification, and so it's fully accepted. They get the booking if I want to do that.
Yeah, totally understand you, Mark. We're tossing around the idea. So part of the difficulty there is that those protections are tied to some of the things we guarantee, like protecting you from fraud chargebacks and things. So what we're considering is if you were to go through the custom quote for that user in this scenario, giving you the ability to opt out of guest verification at the expense of not having those protections, right? So if you already know this guest is verified and you want to vouch for them on that basis and say, okay, like we can't give you damage protection, for example, we can't give you a fraud chargeback guarantee. If you're okay with that, would you like to just bypass guest verification? That is something we've talked about. Does that sound like something that would match your use case?
Yeah, pretty much. Because that's if they can bypass it, then I can just accept it because I already know they're vetted. But yeah, that works.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Appreciate you pushing that back up on our radar. And yeah, I think the direct team will look at actioning that.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. Okay, I think maybe we can just squeeze in one more, unless I get some furious shakes of heads from the team. So Angeline, I'm going to invite you on stage for our final question of the session. Hello, Angeline. Fate may decide that there is no more. Oh, no, yeah, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi there. Yes, we can
Oh,
hear you. Do you have a
yes,
question for
hi.
us?
Yes, I actually typed it in the Q&A as well. So recently, since last week, we've been getting double booked from booking.com, even though we've blocked those few dates through Hospitable. So we were just wondering if is this a PMS upgrade related concern, or is there a problem with syncing Hospitable with booking.com recently?
I can very quickly answer. So there's a thread about this specific thing right now in our Slack, and we've got a fix pending release. It should be fixed. We're aware of this. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Will I be getting like an update or regarding it in anytime soon?
Yeah. Once the bug fix is released and we kind of confirm it on our side, I'll make sure that you're updated.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your question.
Kind of a good exchange. I'm curious to see that thread. Sorry, I'm gonna need to take my stance of authority and end it there. I'm sorry for the people who have been raising their hands. At least we got a little bit more time to focus on the Q&A. It's going to be very tricky for me to do a recap live without having any kind of AI summary working for me at this point in time. But yeah, I just wanted to showcase a bit of a message based on what you've read on social media. What we've observed is there are a very small amount of cases that are probably going to be very dramatic, and those cases are actually being very contained and very easy to solve. There was, for example, an issue with 50 accounts that were basically connected under multiple accounts, multiple owners. And basically, there was an issue in migration. That was basically fixed within minutes and stopping the drama right there. There was also a lot of things shared about resource allocation. Just want to tell you, we're a team of basically 70, 80 people now, and there are just few people that actually get a chance to work on new features. Those are the ones that we're showcasing on the town hall. Everybody in the company is working on making sure Hospitable, in many ways, in more than one, is as boring as possible, having least surprise when it comes to such risky events like upgrading your Airbnb connection. And the reality is that we see we're out there. We are basically 57% of all accounts that are connected to Airbnb that are now being upgraded. I can tell you, it would be an absolute disaster if we had fucked it up. So we're very happy with the performance that we have for now. There has been plenty of resources that we've been working for customers that still have questions. The best one is still help.hospitable.com. There's an entire guide with more videos, with common questions. You can go for help.hospitable.com and obviously then look for specific questions, namely one about price labs. Price Labs will not be interfered with in any way, whatever you set up, and there are multiple types of setups. This is a partnership that we have that is very close to us. A third of our customers are using Price Labs. We pay a lot of attention on making sure this is going great. So yeah, meanwhile, please, I want to say, don't be shy. Send your request to support@hospitable.com to be in touch with our support team. Now, be understanding that there are currently a lot of customers that are reaching out to us, so it may take a little bit of time, more than we would like, to basically get back to you. But we are always taking a look at prioritizing the impact based on basically the pain and suffering from customers, and we want to basically look into focus our resources on those issues first. Not about the yelling and exclamation mark, if I'm going to be honest. Okay, we see each other again in 2 weeks, and yeah, get more updates on everything around product and connect.